Commissioner Look. Here. Commissioner Brastad. Commissioner West. Here. Commissioner Schulte.
Here.
Commissioner Meisner. Here. Commissioner Gamache.
Here.
Commissioner Reinert.
Here.
All present and accounted for. We will now move on to tax claims and abatements. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Brastad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we'll move on to item 5. Consider accepting the regular claims paid over $500 and purchase card claims paid for the period ending November 6th of 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
We have a motion by Meisner, second by Look. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we'll look for approval of the minutes from November 10th of 2020. County Board meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Look and a second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Corrections? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That item passes. Next, we will move on to our chair's remarks. Normally, during our biannual Awards of Excellence presentation, we recognize individual Anoka County employees who have excelled at their jobs and come up with innovative approaches to serve the public, enhance fiscal responsibility, and streamline county processes. This year, we are handling the presentation differently because we know all of our employees have been forced to significantly change how they do their jobs in order to keep providing timely professional services to the public. Amid COVID-19, our employees have tapped into their creativity and learned new ways to do their jobs, whether it be from home or in a modified fashion at our county facilities. So instead of singling out specific employees or small groups for awards of excellence during this presentation, we are going to take a countywide approach and commend everyone for their efforts. I understand we don't have enough time today to talk about every project or initiative that has taken place since March. So for those of you watching today, please know that your work has been essential in keeping our county services available, even if your efforts are not mentioned today. That's really important to state here because we've had so many nuggets of success through the last 9 months, and the way we've shifted and done things differently is admirable. And we're not going to be able to mention them all here, although we will mention quite a few. So if we don't mention you specifically, our employees at Anoka County, thank you for what you've done. We had a fair amount of recognitions to make, so commissioners are going to go through one round, circle back, and then we'll do another round of acknowledgements. Now I'm going to ask Commissioner Brastad to start our presentation by detailing some of the operational changes at the Anoka County Sheriff's Office. Commissioner Brastad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Anoka County Sheriff's Office, even during this pandemic, continues to protect and serve the community in a way that preserves public trust. Keeping deputies and the public safe during this time has been challenging, but the Sheriff's Office has instituted multiple changes to mitigate risk while deputies perform their duties. Some of those changes include moving to a 12-hour shift rotation in the patrol division to cut down on interaction between deputies. A remote hearing and interview system was set up from scratch for the jail division. Mental health hearings in the Justice Services Division are being conducted virtually. An appointment system for agencies being set up at the forensics lab, and a focus on training either completely virtual or appropriately socially distanced with smaller class sizes. We commend our Sheriff's Office for being able to keep the public safe during this difficult time. Next, Commissioner West will talk about some service delivery model changes made by our attorney's office during this pandemic.
The Anoka County's Attorney's Office is still providing the same services as it always has, albeit in a different manner. Most court hearings are now being held remotely, and negotiations on cases are held in advance by phone or remote meetings. Witness preparation is also conducted remotely, and victims can attend hearings and provide victim impact statements from the comfort and safety of their homes or other locations. In the Family Law Division, this new setup has actually led to a positive change. Participation by parties in remote child support hearings has increased compared to when all hearings were handled in courtrooms. Going remote with many of our services has been implemented across the county, and our attorney's office has handled this transition admirably. Now, Commissioner Look will share some information about a few of the projects completed by our facilities management and construction team.
Well, thank you, Commissioner West. The facilities management and construction has been at the forefront of many of the changes we've implemented at our buildings around the county during COVID-19. The list of projects they've been involved with is impressive, and we don't have the time to touch on all of them right now, but I'll give an overview of a few of the main initiatives. During the time when hardly anyone was able to buy sanitizing equipment, FMNC was able to purchase and distribute more than 200 freestanding and wall-mounted hand sanitizer units with gloves and towels. They were able to research, purchase, and distribute EPA-registered disinfectant to all county buildings in just 2 days. This was a monumental task, and all the nearly 1,000 bottles are filled each week using just one dispenser. FMNC has also made more than 300 visits around the county for proper plexiglass design checks, measurements, and more than 450 installs. Our facilities management and construction team has certainly had their work cut out for them, especially since 2 engineers retired over the past several months and 1 HVAC apprentice found employment somewhere else. But they've been able to complete a remarkable number of projects despite obstacles, and the work has made conducting business at Anoka County buildings much safer. And I truly want to comment that they have a customer service approach to the county, where they treat each department as their customer in trying to meet and exceed their needs and expectations, and they do a great job. And now I'll turn it over to Commissioner Gamache, who will give us more information on how our employee relations and community development departments have been handling their business.
Thank you, Commissioner Look. Workers in our Employee Relations Department had to swiftly learn how to work off-site after March of this year. Figuring out how to do their jobs effectively away from the government center was essential, as they're now fielding about 3 times more inquiries than usual from employees and supervisors as they analyze leave of absence options, employee performance challenges, explored recruitment needs, and more. Employees have created new processes around supporting new hires, enacted employee data changes, and have been processing timesheets and payroll remotely for the entire county. This has been a confusing and difficult time for everyone, but our employee relations staff have been there to assist all of us, especially recently during open enrollment. We appreciate everything they do in helping new and seasoned employees with employment-related inquiries as well. By April, our Community Development Department had developed procedures for minimal contact for loan programs. This included phone calls for initial meetings with advanced information copies sent to clients, risk assessments being performed by contractors with proper PPE at houses that were unoccupied at the time, exterior inspections being done in person, while interior inspections were done with photos or video. And closing adjustments now include remote meetings by phone with notarized documentation sent beforehand. The work of our Community Development Department is important for community revitalization, which is accomplished through directing residents to various housing resources. The way they conduct their business had to be changed to adhere to social distancing guidelines. But this department was able to institute creative solutions so they can continue to help people with their housing needs. Next, Commissioner Meisner will tell us some of the accomplishments of our property tax and taxation, our property records and taxation and economic development divisions during the pandemic. Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. So property records and taxation, we actually closed our public-facing services on March 17th and reopened on May 20th. But the stay-at-home orders did not decrease the workload at all. And in fact, our document recording volumes are up to over 25% from the same period of 2019. And the PRT call center has already handled more calls by June of this year than all of last year of 2019. One of the other services that we continue to process was marriage license. We processed over 100. A lot of the counties actually stopped that service. And then I can't say enough of the exceptional work that our elections office has done. Just a couple of things for absentee voting. The number of ballots issued for the primary and general elections combined was more than 165,000, and the number of absentee ballots accepted was more than 141,000. So our property records and taxation, which includes elections division, continues to provide vital services. They've had to come up with innovative ways to do service, and I'm so thankful. Our economic development area has absolutely been rock solid. They have been able to administer grants to cover over 250 businesses and 60 nonprofits through our CARES Act funded COVID-19 relief grant program. So this funding was a little bit flexible for businesses and nonprofits. It could be used for their mortgage, payroll, utilities, and other COVID-19 related costs. The grants will total just shy of $800,000 for nonprofits and around $4.3 million for businesses. And I just want to interject for our nonprofits, we were also able to allocate $3 million through a different program, through our safety net program. 12 cities in Anoka County also coordinated with our Anoka County Economic Development Area to create partnerships for their city-run COVID relief grants using their own city CARES dollars. So this partnership has allowed Anoka County to really come alongside of our cities, coordinate applications, and streamline administration as much as possible. You can imagine the demand all around for the need for this. So next up is Commissioner Reinhardt, who will talk about our libraries.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Meisner. The Anoka County Library System has continued and adapted an array of services during the pandemic. When the buildings closed to the public, the library still offered access to ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and many other resources to residents through the library online collection. Just 2 weeks after the closure, the library started curbside pickup at several locations, so our residents could have access to physical materials. All our libraries are back open again, the social distancing measures in place, but classes and activities continued in an online capacity, such as daily story times, cooking, STEM classes, trivia, and more. I know our library staff has been working hard to offer online programming and also accommodate visitors who choose to come to the library locations. The services they provide are certainly appreciated. Commissioner Brosted now will talk about Emergency Management Department.
Thank you, Commissioner Reiner. Our Emergency Management Department has been essential to our response to the COVID-19 in Anoka County. Throughout this emergency, there has been an unprecedented amount of high-level coordination between emergency management, administration, and other county divisions. During the early stages of the pandemic, emergency management was conducting several calls and meetings with invested stakeholders so our county officials could stay informed with the most up-to-date information about COVID-19 cases in Anoka County. They have also been heavily involved in logistics coordinations because of the impact to the supply chain due to COVID-19. Much of the work conducted by this division is behind the scenes, and their contribution has been essential to county operations. In less stressful times, our Emergency Management Department is always busy, planning for potential dangers that could impact our county and surrounding areas. Amid COVID-19, their work has increased, and we're grateful for their expertise and dedication of employees in this division. Next, we'll go to Commissioner West, and she will talk about a few of the achievements of the License and Passport Centers.
Thank you, Commissioner Brassad. Our License and Passport Centers handle one of the highest volumes of business any division in our county does, and the pandemic has certainly been an obstacle. But they've been able to continue service delivery via drop boxes and appointment-only model. Work is also currently being conducted to enhance the License and Passport Center's website and phone systems to handle increased usage by the public. And they're working with information technology to develop methods for customers to upload documents to review prior to submitting them via Dropbox or in-person visits to expedite the processing. Our License and Passport Centers have been inundated with business during the pandemic, and that has been a challenge, but they've handled this influx well. They're also implementing a new transaction system called MinDrive, which replaces MinLars. This change has required many hours of training, and we're confident our staff will be able to expertly use this new system to guide customers through their transactions. Commissioner Look will now tell us how our Emergency Communications and Finance and Central Services divisions have been navigating the pandemic. Commissioner Look.
Thank you, Commissioner West. The goal of emergency communications during COVID-19 has been to keep its employees healthy so they can provide 911 services to Anoka County residents. This department has been able to accomplish this goal through a variety of means, including going to 12-hour shifts to reduce contact between groups of employees, temperature checks of employees before they enter the facility, and elimination of shared office equipment. To aid in social distancing, an alternate dispatch center was opened at the Andover Radio Shop, and 5 additional dispatch consoles have been purchased for the 911 training room. The services of our dispatchers provide to the public are vital, and the only way they can deliver these services is if they remain healthy. And it's good to know so many steps have been made to ensure our dispatchers stay safe. Our Finance and Central Services Division has been heavily involved in the coordination, evaluation, and processing of 130 coronavirus aid relief and economic security, or CARES Act, funding requests that were approved by the county board. This act brought $43.4 million to Anoka County for assistance in providing services and helping Anoka County residents and businesses. This department was also part of the coordination and development of the county's first virtual room at the Government Center. Finance and Social Services has been required to quickly learn and implement many new initiatives, especially when it comes to the CARES Act. The expertise and dedication of staff in this division has been essential to ensure funding gets to those who need it in a timely fashion. Now, Commissioner Reinert will talk about some of the contributions of the county's Geographic Information Systems Department.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner Look. Anoka County GIS, Geographic Information Systems, something I think we all use almost daily, was created heat maps showing COVID-19 cases in the county. And they eventually developed Coronavirus Hub website that replaced the heat maps. This site was created for public health and emergency management and contains links to several COVID-19 dashboards. The hub also includes other information useful to county staff and the public. Enhancements are continually being made to the site as they're requested. Tracking COVID-19 in our county is important for our response to this disease, and we appreciate the efforts of GIS in partnership with other departments to develop the Coronavirus Hub site. Next, Commissioner Meisner will detail important services provided by Transit Link.
Thank you. I'm really excited actually to talk about Anoka County Transit Link. So from May to July 31st, Transit Link provided 1,300 essential rider trips. These are free of charge, and these were to the sectors of food, agriculture, and healthcare. From April to October, Transit Link completed nearly 2,000 food shelf trips. That number, 907 were coordinated through schools for students. So for our food shelves, the demand has really risen during this pandemic. And for these school drives, Transit Link would go to the schools and then deliver directly to the families who needed food. A lot of our students, this is the only way that they're getting meals during distance learning. This is highly important. These trips are paid by the Met Council and have been integral for getting many people the food and services that they need during these difficult times. Commissioner Gamache will now tell us about the initiatives of the parks and information technology.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. Our Parks Department has made many adaptations to continue providing services during COVID-19. Just a few of those changes include using Bunker Hills Activity Center for district court proceedings and county board committee meetings, setting up virtual programming at Warrego Nature Center, and finding ways to provide safe access to key public facilities such as the campgrounds, pavilions, playgrounds, and boat launches. Several changes were also implemented at Chamonix Golf Course to keep it operational for the 2020 season. And as a result, more than 26,000 rounds of golf were played this year. Parks have certainly been important over the last 9 months, as many people have been using them for a form of entertainment and respite. Thanks to the hard work of our county park staff, we've been able to keep several of our facilities open and offer programming in a modified fashion. And I really want to thank all of the park staff because they have had face-to-face contact with the public. And they've always stayed 6 feet apart and been masked up, and they've done that both at Chamonix and all across our different parks throughout the system. So a lot of thanks for that long, hard summer and into the fall. And we're looking forward to another great year in 2021 as well. To say our IT department has been busy with projects over the last 9 months would be an understatement. The projects they've completed during this time have allowed most of our employers to work remotely, and they've put into place several other initiatives that have allowed for increased safety and productivity. I'll give you a quick rundown of just a few of the projects. IT helped coordinate and execute deployment of 300 computers in a 2-week time period to allow for at-home work. They replaced many desktop computers with laptops to allow employees still working in person to move their workstations, thus reducing workstation exposure. And they implemented DocuSign, which allows the public and county employees to electronically sign county documents from almost anywhere in the world. They also worked with county departments to set up virtual huddle room at the government center, which provides video conferencing for interaction between the staff and the public. We couldn't do our jobs in any capacity without expertise of our IT department. Their work has been central to how we've been able to navigate through these past months, and we're more than grateful for their efforts. Next, Commissioner Brasta will lead us through some of the initiatives of several departments within our Human Services Division.
Thank you, Commissioner Gamache. The COVID-19 pandemic has resulted in community social services and behavioral health conducting their work in a 100% remote fashion. But they've actually, in many cases, been able to increase productivity. Timeliness in child protection investigations is above 90%. Revenue has increased in long-term support services, and remote work is allowing this department to manage staff growth in high-volume areas. In economic assistance, there has been increased efficiencies in mail processing, robust outreach to child support clients to educate them about the Pay Near Me payment option, and phone calls to clients are being returned faster than prior to the pandemic. The Job Training Center has transitioned from in-person hiring events to virtual ones, increased phone and virtual assistance for career counseling, resume help, and career and job searches, and they've increased their overall productivity. Corrections was part of a drug docket collaboration at Bunker Hills Activity Center, during which 202 cases were scheduled. 82 of them were resolved or sentenced. At the juvenile campus, there have been 500 intakes since COVID-19 began to spread in our community. and none of those intakes were positive for the disease. There has been a 100% increase in home electronic monitoring. And of course, the work of the Anoka County Public Health and Environmental Services has been incredible. They, along with all of their partners, have helped us to meet the challenges of this unprecedented public health emergency. Public health is responsible for leading the response, and their activities have been numerous. Here are just a few. They opened the Department Operations Center and have staffed it since March. They established an isolation and quarantine location for individuals who don't have adequate housing during their quarantine period. They activated our Minnesota Reserve Corps volunteers to assist with requested response activities, and they established a disaster behavioral health team to support our field unit team, partners, and community members struggling with stress and anxiety around COVID-19. Back to Commissioner Schulte.
Well, thank you, all commissioners. Lastly, I'd like to recognize the work of our Communications Department, Veterans Service Office, and the accomplishments of our Continuous Improvement Group. Communications has designed and printed hundreds of signs, everything from facilities closing to school social distancing, reminders, and more. Since our facilities closed and the public was unable to attend meetings in person, Communications logged countless hours streaming our meetings. They coordinated with all areas to create and maintain our Impact on County Services page on the website. This hub contained everything a resident or business owner would want to know about what was open or closed, how to obtain services, and who to contact. And Communications has overseen the coordination, installation, and implementation of more than 50 CARES Act audio-video projects all over the county. Veteran Services, for the first time ever, certified a new service officer to work remotely. This department has continued offering complete services to all veterans through a variety of means, and they even devised a 3-team rotation to work in the office to complete tasks that cannot be done remotely. This setup limits exposure and allows all teams to complete the rest of their work for veterans remotely. And our Continuous Improvement Group adapted and implemented the Kaizen model and other tools to improve remote, hybrid, or in-person work. All of these models have seen their success and efficiencies have increased. Specifically calling out our Communications Division one more time, they really have done yeoman's work during this period. Everything from placing decals in elevators, signs everywhere. I mean, they're just constantly working to make sure that our message is put out in a respectful and prompt way, and so that we protect not only employees, but those citizens that make their way into our buildings. So thanks to Eric and his team for all their diligent work. I think I speak for the entire county board when I say the efforts of all Anoka County employees during this pandemic have been exemplary. Transitioning from working in the office to working remotely and still providing services at the high level our residents has come to expect has been no small feat for many of our employees. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that a contingent of employees are still conducting their jobs in person, including those on the front lines. We are extraordinarily grateful to all of our frontline workers. They are ensuring safety in our communities, working to guide our residents through this challenging and dark time, and they continually are putting their health and lives at risk to make sure we are safe as we can be. Please join me now in a round of applause to commend all of our Anoka County employees. It's been dramatic for me to watch that shift, having been in government on the policymaking side for 20 years, to watch the necessary shift when an unparalleled pandemic strikes. When it first started to happen, I thought, this just isn't going to last. This is going to be a 2-week thing, and we'll be through with this. This is going to be easy. Of course, all the experts said, "No, I think you're wrong. This is going to go a long time." and then to watch the shift that our administration made with Administrator Sivaraj's leadership and Dee working beside her and everybody down the line making the necessary adjustments to make sure, really to make sure that we can take care of our citizens, but our employees as well. I mean, our employees are the ones that are risking their health to be here and to continue to work. And it's just, it just strikes me. It's something I never thought I would see. And now I'm seeing it play out. And the one thing that really strikes home with me is this is our opportunity. This is our once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make necessary changes for the better. We can figure out what came good from this pandemic. What happened? Did we learn to work remotely more efficiently and save the taxpayers' dollars? Do we shrink our footprint? What do we do? This is our chance to implement that change. So I think, and I know all of you take that serious. You take it to heart. And so I'm looking forward to working with you over the next few months to figure that out as we come out of the pandemic, as the vaccine becomes available, that we don't fall into the easy trap of doing what we did last January or December of 19, that we actually take this opportunity to embrace what changes we can make to make Anoka County that much better. Not that it's not great already, but we'll always do what we can to improve. Are there any further comments? Seeing none, Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to, this is a great idea. I mean, this is a great way to thank everybody. So thank you to Rhonda. I'm sure you were working on it, and thanks to the board chair for putting this together, because it really gives us an opportunity to thank what I've always called our biggest asset, and that's our employees. So thank you for this, and thanks for everybody for all the hard work that they've done.
And truly, it is the employees we're here to thank. So thanks again. And with that, we will move on now to committee reports, and we will start with the Transportation Committee report. And we had an opportunity to meet on Monday, November 16th. And we've got two items for you. We did meet here in the boardroom. We wanted to do a video presentation specifically for some MnDOT projects. So we did meet here. And we have two action items for you. The committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing Anoka County to enter into a cooperative construction agreement with the Minnesota Department of Transportation for improvements at the intersection of Trunk Highway 47 and Bunker Lake Boulevard in the cities of Anoka and Ramsey. Is there an offer of the resolution? I'll offer it. The resolution has been offered. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Commissioner Schulte? Aye.
Commissioner Meisner? Aye.
Commissioner Gamache? Aye.
Commissioner Reinert?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad?
Aye.
Commissioner West?
And that item passes. Next, item 2, the committee recommends approval of a resolution authorizing Anoka County to enter into a local road improvement program, or LRIP, agreement with the Minnesota Department of Transportation for the design services for the Ramsey Boulevard and US Highway 10 interchange project in the city of Ramsey. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer that as well.
The resolution's been offered. Further discussion. I will say this is more of a housekeeping item. This is something that's come before us before. You've seen it. We've approved it, but MnDOT needed something changed and reapproved, so that's what we're doing today. Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache?
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert?
Aye.
Commissioner Look?
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad?
Aye.
Commissioner West? Commissioner Schulte?
Aye. And that item passes. That does conclude my Transportation Committee report. We will turn to Commissioner Look for the Finance and Capital Improvements Committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Finance and Capital Improvements Committee met on November 17th. We do not have any action items. This is just for informational purposes, but the meeting essentially was mostly about the capital improvement plan that we'll be having coming forward here and the different projects that we're going to be looking at the county. So that's always a lively and important conversation. And as those projects come to the board, we'll make those approvals. But as far as the plan goes, it sets us in at least a trajectory over the next 12 months, and starting in January, and we'll try and take care of some of the projects we have planned. So that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Look. Next, we'll turn to the Human Services Committee report. Commissioner Brassad.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Human Services Committee met on November 17th, and we have a long list of contracts to be renewed. The first is the multiple contracts on the consent agenda, and I'm happy to move those.
There is a motion on the floor for the consent agenda contracts. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte. Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
That item passes.
The next item is that I would recommend the county board apply for and accept emergency solutions grant from the Minnesota Department of Human Services in an amount of up to $800,000 for emergency motel shelter services to unsheltered individuals and families from December 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2022.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That item passes.
I would recommend the county board enter into grant contract renewal with the Minnesota Department of Human Services Child Safety and Permanency Division for community integration for a plan of safe care for prenatal substance exposure in an amount of $338,138 from July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. And I'll move that.
There is a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
And that item passes.
I would recommend the county board enter into contract amendment 1 with the Improve Group to develop an Anoka County plan of safe care collaborative for prenatal substance exposure in the amount of $105,267 from January 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. And I'll move that.
There is a motion before us. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that item passes.
And the committee recommends the county board enter into contract renewal with Canvas Health for mobile mental health crisis response services at $52,052.41 per month from January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021. The contract maximum is $624,629. I'll move that.
There is a motion before us. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary, because at the committee meeting, we just had a really good conversation about the value that this particular partner is bringing to our services. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further discussion, this will be a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Look. Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
That item passes.
The committee recommends the county board issue a written statement of support to the Minnesota Department of Human Services with rationale for new substance use disorder treatment program licensure to be operated by Recovery Health Systems out of Spring Lake Park. And I'll move that.
There's a motion before us. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Sorry, second by Commissioner Meisner. Commissioner Meisner, further comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and just commentary about this one as well with substance abuse disorder treatment centers and the real need for them. I believe this is only the second one in the Spring Lake Park area. So again, I'm very pleased to see that more services will be available throughout Anoka County. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. That item passes unanimously. Next.
The committee recommends the county board enter into contract renewal between the Minnesota Department of Corrections Correctional Facility, Lino Lakes, and the Anoka County Juvenile Center in Lino Lakes for utilities and services at an estimated cost not to exceed $234,000 from January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2022. And I'll move that.
There's a motion before us. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Is there further discussion?
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Gamesh.
Just a quick question. Is there any increase, or has it been a flat? And I see Cindy's here, so I knew that she'd be able to answer this question. I'm just curious.
Thank you. Cindy.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. My name is Cindy Caesar, and I'm the Human Service Division Manager. So this is an increase. As you know, utilities go up every year, and so it is a 5.1% increase.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad, Commissioner West.
And that item passes.
And lastly, we have Resolution 2020 HS 21, which is the economic assistance bills. And I'm happy to offer that resolution.
The resolution has been offered. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look, Commissioner Brastad,
Aye.
Commissioner West,
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye. And that item passes.
And that concludes my Human Services report.
Thank you, Commissioner Brasted. We will now move on to the Property Records and Taxation Committee report. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Property Records and Taxation Committee met on November 16th. We have only one action item, which is the, the contract, to approve the contract of C00004046, which is the purchase of service agreement between Anoka County and Intech Software Solutions, Inc., for the renewal of the use of Modus Elections Manager software for calendar years 2021 and 2022. The cost for 2021 will be $70,896, and the cost for 2022 shall not exceed $72,668. And the reason for that difference is because our vendor did waive basically the 2% increase due to COVID. But this is a service that we have been on contract since 2011. This supports our elections department. And the cost partnership of this as well is split between Anoka County as well as city and schools. So is there a motion? I will move this. I will move this.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. There's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Reinert. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Look.
Mr. Chair, I know that there's been a fair amount of discussion of voting software that's out there and some of the challenges that people are having with it. And I know people have asked if we use some of that same voting software, and I'm assuming that this is the brand that we use, or no, this is just a different form of software?
Administrator Sabra.
Mr. Chairman, members of the County Board, Commissioner Look, actually this particular software is set up so that we can actually schedule for election judge recruitment, training, locations, that sort of thing. But as far as the actual election software itself, we actually use ESNS, which is different than the one that you've heard about in the news so much.
Thank you.
Very good, and still under discussion? Seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
That item passes.
Thank you. The rest are informational, but I always like to share a little bit. We've talked about elections the last couple of months, but a couple of ending stats are 93% of all registered voters in Anoka County did vote this most general election. 55% of that was absentee voting. That was both a combination of in-person and mail-in. Commissioner Schulte at the canvassing board commended our elections office, as did Administrator Sivaraja, our last board meeting. And again, I echo those sentiments. I can't say enough about how our elections department handled this during a pandemic with all these different changes going on. We had an update on our PRT migration project that is coming along. And we had one public commentary or question from West Volganot, just asking about proposed budget and final levy property taxation processes. And also just a notation that the real estate commissioner did review and send for approval various tax claims and abatements that will be considered for this by our real estate commissioner. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Commissioner Meisner. That does conclude our committee reports. We'll move to the agenda item 9, which is a public hearing to obtain comments concerning Anoka County user fees. So we will, at this time, turn it to our attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, we will then convene the public hearing for the purposes of receiving comments on the county's proposed user fees. I would ask the clerk to take note of the fact this public notice was published in the official newspaper on Friday, November 13th, 2020. This time, my understanding is Corey Camp, our Finance and Central Services Division Manager, will now address the board on the proposed fees. Mr. Camp.
All right, thank you, Mr. Palumbo, Mr. Chair, members of the board. My name is Corey Camp. I'm the Finance and Central Services Division Manager. We do this twice a year, every May and November. We come forth with the departments, take a look and see should they do a fee review and request any fee increases or decreases that may occur or adjustments going forward. We have a very short list for November. We had a longer list last May. Our list here, we have highway. It does have a number. Is that better? Don't know if I'm standing wrong or what. I'll try moving over here. Anyway, our highway has a number of unit measures that are dropping our fees. So some of the fees are actually dropping in highway. So it's like salt and sand fees will drop from 83 a ton to 65 a ton, just as an example. We also have one Treasury credit reporting fee increasing to cover the increased costs that hadn't been looked at in Finance and Central Services, and this is what cities pay when they do background checks and license for and license applications. So, and there's also a library related to the locker replacement. We are changing or having a proposed fee of $10 at the library, and this allows patrons to retrieve books from lockers. So that this is part of our new system that we put in under CARES. So are there any questions? And then I would request we hold the public hearing and adopt the fee schedule.
Questions of Division Manager Camp by the board. Okay. Pursuant to the notice, Mr. Camp, were there any public comments that you received prior to this public hearing?
Mr. Palumbo, I have received none.
Okay, my understanding is also public comments were supposed to be directed to our county administration. I will ask someone from administration to indicate whether we've received any public comments about these user fees. Okay, there's an indication that no public comments have been received. And unless the board has any further questions of Mr. Camp, at this time I would then close the meeting and turn the matter back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Attorney Palumbo, and thank you, Corey. At this time, we will consider Resolution 2020-130 relating to the fees for various county services, including fees related to permits and licenses and sales of materials to the public and other government agencies. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer it.
The resolution's been offered by Commissioner Brasted. Is there further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Aye.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
That item passes. We will now move on to item 10, where we'll consider Resolution 2020-131, the appointment of Terry Stoltzman as Emergency Management Director and Ryan Kelsenberg and Eric Boder as Deputy Emergency Management Directors. Is there an offer of the resolution?
I'll offer the resolution.
Resolution's been offered by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I'm sorry, so is this an annual contract or what's the duration?
No, this is a contract that was signed quite some time ago. We're just simply changing the title
Okay.
of the director to meet state statute. It's a housekeeping item, really. There was one email that came in via public comment questioning on what the cost would be to change this all over, and it's a zero cost. There's no cost to changing. This is really housekeeping, just getting the title in line with statute.
Thank you.
Well, any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? And that passes unanimously. Next, we'll move to item 11, consider approving a contract, employment agreement between Terry Stoltzman and the County of Anoka for services as the Emergency Management Director effective today, November 24th, 2020. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
I have a motion by Commissioner Brasted. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Meisner. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad.
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert.
Aye.
That item passes. Next, we will move to item 12, some committee appointments. Under A, we're going to consider reappointing the following individuals to the Community Health Advisory Committee for 2-year terms expiring December 31st, 2022. We have Jackie Cross representing Anoka County Community Action Program, Chief Lenny Austin representing law enforcement, and Cynthia Hiltz representing schools. And subcategory 2 for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2023. We have Jolyn Olson representing District 1 and Noel McCormick representing Community Agency. So we'll take that now. Is there a motion to approve those appointments?
So moved.
A motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Any discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just commentary. I mean, these advisory boards are so important for receiving input from the community, but also to help communicate the work that we're doing here. So thank you, everyone on this list. And I don't do this every time, but for all of the people who are part of our community advisory boards, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Those appointments are made. Item B, under item 12, is to consider for informational purposes my appointment of Noel McCormick as chair and appointment of Craig Malm as vice chair of the Community Health Advisory Committee for 2021, as recommended by the Community Health Advisory Committee. Next, we will move to the Coronavirus Aid and Relief and Economic Security Act items, or CARES items. Local government category, item 13. First, we'll consider approving the purchase of a PrEP Mod Public Health Enterprise Resource Planning Solution from the Multi-State Partnership for Prevention, located in Owens, Maryland, in an amount of $98,000, which represents a lifetime license of the product to provide the county public health department the ability to track scheduling, consent forms, and the disbursement of testing kits and associated vaccines. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Meisner. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gamache. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I mean, I did note that I think this is the first time I've ever seen a lifetime license. So that was pretty unique. And then in terms of the actual, once we have this, I mean, I assume that then going forward after we're through COVID, we can be using this then for our own public health needs. And we have that lifetime license.
That's accurate.
Nice, thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
Excuse me. Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
And that item passes. Next, we're going to move to the safety net category, item 14 on your agenda. Consider providing $8,250 in relief to nonprofits as designated below for service expansion to citizens of the county that have been affected by COVID-19 health pandemic. And this is to the dwelling place for sanitation and cleaning for residents. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Brassad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner West. Is there further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry, we're going to do a roll call vote.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
Commissioner Schulte.
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache.
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert. Commissioner Look.
Aye.
Commissioner Brassad.
Aye.
And that passes. You know that has to happen at least once a meeting. I have to do that. Let's jump to our board additional, if you would, please. And this is also under the CARES Act items. And it is to consider offering business and nonprofits forced to close by the Minnesota Executive Order 20-99 additional grant relief of up to $30,000 through the Anoka County COVID Relief Grant Program. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Look. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by everybody. Well, we'll go with Commissioner Brassad. I heard her the loudest. Under discussion, I'll just say this was sudden when the governor declared the latest shutdown that hurt our hospitality industry the hardest. And this is our way of hoping we can get them through the next 4 weeks and beyond if necessary. And we still had dollars left that we had allocated from our CARES dollars to that grant fund. So this is not really new dollars. These are dollars we had previously put into that grant fund that hadn't been expended yet. So I think it's a win-win. I think each one of us on this board take our businesses in our county very seriously. And this is one more step in proving just how seriously we appreciate them and take their success to heart. Any further discussion? Commissioner Gamache.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We still have the deadline, however, right? And that's December 1st. So this needs to be moved along really quickly, and I'm sure we're communicating with the businesses that are out there already.
I can't say this loud enough, but we are in the capable hands of Jaquel Hayter. She is in touch with every applicant that's already applied and others, anyone that's affected. It's gone through the chambers, it's gone through both of our subcontractors, MCCD and CMDC. And so it's gotten out there, and I rest assured that most, if not all, people that are able to benefit from this have the opportunity to apply.
Good.
Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, and I thought that with this, we were actually already using the businesses that were far along in the process, so it's actually not like an open new round. It's working with the pool that we have and then making sure that we just allocate every last penny to businesses who need it. Am I right?
That's accurate. Okay. We are reaching back out to those that have already received grant funds, so we already have a bunch of documentation in-house to prove that they're a going concern. All those other criteria are met. The only new criteria is you still have to demonstrate the loss up to this amount.
Right. Yeah, so just about the timeline. So we're all ready, basically, to go.
Yep. I'll go to Administrator Subaraja and then to Commissioner Reinert.
Mr. Chairman, members of the County Board, just to provide some additional clarification. So really, it is focused very much on those businesses and nonprofits impacted by the most recent governor's executive order, which includes examples such as bars, restaurants, fitness centers, entertainment industry, youth sports. So those would be the types of entities that our staff and our vendor would be reaching out to, those who have already been approved in the past, and offering them some additional assistance. Also want to comment that our finance team is doing everything they can, because we do have that hard, fast deadline of December 1st. So they are issuing checks more often, and actually will also issue checks on the 30th to make sure that we meet our deadlines. So just appreciate the extra effort there as well to ensure that we could get these funds out to businesses.
Thank you. Commissioner Reiner.
Yeah, I just want to say there's been a tremendous amount of businesses that have been helped, but there's some that didn't quite meet the criteria. And there's a couple that I know of personally, and I don't think we'll be able to reach out on this, and I just wanted to verify, because I can't sit here and not at least try. If we change any of the criteria as far as businesses that would be, I guess, available for these dollars, then we have to open it up all over again. Is that correct?
Administrator Subraja.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Reinert, that is correct, and we would not have the time, because the vetting of the businesses and going through the process is a lengthy process.
Yeah, there's just a business particularly that was going to open in March, like the week that then all of a sudden in March that the governor closed. And so he had his staff ready to go, food purchased, beer in the lines, and then had to close and then wait, and then he opened. The business has been a tremendous success. And I was in there about a week ago, and the guy was in tears when he heard that he had to close again, because he didn't know if he was going to make it through. I'm sure not an isolated situation, and I'm sure there's a lot of people like that, but he didn't meet our criteria because he hadn't been opened yet. So, but anyway, so for all those businesses, hang in there, and I would say to the public, support local restaurants and bars and all you can with curbside pickup and things like that to help them out, because they're all suffering. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner Reiner. And those are really good thoughts. I mean, as much as we need to social distance and stay away from people, we still need to eat. And going out to get food is probably safer to pick it up at a restaurant than it is to go to a grocery store and spend an hour and a half walking around a grocery store. So support the locals. Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. And I mean, even with hopefully the vaccine around the corner, it's still going to be quite some time before, quote unquote, life goes back to normal. Just a comment that I am hopeful that we will be getting more funding in the coming months, because our communities need it. So I'm hoping on that, in terms of like the stories that you have, that we all have of our community businesses. More funding has got to come from the federal level, and I'm hopeful that we'll get it.
Well, that will require a lame duck Congress to act, and a lame duck administration to sign that act. So hopefully the goodwill of the American people is strong enough to force them to do what they're supposed to be doing. Because I agree, the CARES Act was truly a savior for not only local governments, but for the businesses within those local jurisdictions. And I mean, to play lightly the amount of money Anoka County received, or any other county in Minnesota received, would be a mistake. That was a big deal that the federal government stepped up to. It spent a lot of money, a lot of our tax dollars to send back to us. But we got to ask them to do it again if this virus is going to continue. And so those of you that have connections in Washington, D.C., exercise those. See if we can get another federal bill passed. Is there further discussion? Commissioner Gamache.
Just a quick question, if anybody knows anything on this. The governor has called a special session, and I believe I don't know what date they're setting for that, and it's going to address getting money to some of the businesses that are affected, which is a good thing. And I'm glad that they're doing that. I don't know where their money's coming from exactly. As we're getting closer to that end deadline of December 1st, I was kind of thinking they're probably on their end at the state legislature saying, well, we're going to get some money back from the counties. Well, they're not going to get any back from us because we're going to make sure we spend it all because we've got our own people right here in the county that need it. So that's a good thing. But I'm encouraged that they're having a special session. I'm supporting and with contact some of our state reps and state senators to let them know that this is a good thing and that these people are in need.
Yeah, I don't think the actual total description of what the relief package is, the little bit I read, I was a little disheartened. It wasn't very far-reaching, and it was very specific to, well, I won't go into it now. I don't have all the details, and I don't want to spread anything that's not 100% true. So we'll wait and see what they come out with the relief package, and hopefully we can get the state legislature to work together to come to the aid of our citizens. With that, is there any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Commissioner Schulte,
Aye.
Commissioner Meisner,
Aye.
Commissioner Gamache,
Aye.
Commissioner Reinert,
Aye.
Commissioner Look,
Aye.
Commissioner Brastad,
Aye.
Commissioner West.
Aye.
And that item passes. That does conclude our additional agenda. And back to our original agenda, we have nothing left to talk about other than Commissioner Look has an item he'd like to bring up. So I would like to turn the table to him for a moment, if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We just took a step to help our businesses here with the nonprofits with additional CARES Act money. And I'd like to consider one more step in that we just came through property tax payments. And as of October 15th, I think we've had not very many that missed. But I was contacted with one business in particular that missed their payment due to COVID-related reasons. And I would like the board to consider what we considered back in April, which was essentially that for those that apply for a refund to the penalty, that we would consider refunding those penalties given the fact that a lot of these businesses are, as indicated, I think everyone's in agreement, they're in a lot of trouble and financial concern out there. And to then receive a penalty on top of not being able to pay taxes on time would be a compounding issue. So if that's something this board would like to consider today, I would be open to considering that as we did in April. And I see the county attorneys kind of giving me a little concerned look. So I'm not sure if this is something we need to bring up at a different board or if we can bring it up under other and move it and approve it
Mr. Chair, Commissioner, look, I just want to make sure on the law on that, because it isn't just the county. If you waive those penalties, there are other taxing jurisdictions that would be affected, so.
If I could weigh in, back in May when we did that as a county board action item, we post May 15th, the deadline to pay, we had an action here to allow 2 extra months to get those payments in without penalty. I think we have a process in place now where somebody who's paid late or is paying late now after the deadline can apply for dispensation through our property tax committee. And so that's my suggestion. Anyone who has paid late or hasn't paid yet, get paid up, come in and pay up, make your payment within the next couple of weeks or month, and then at the same time, pick up that application to get your penalty abated. You will still pay the tax, of course, but then that committee can take it on a case-by-case basis, and if they determine it's a COVID-related issue that caused the late payment, they can abate the penalties. It's a process we've had in place for a very long time. Only recently has it been a COVID-related exception that we will allow. I think that's the best process moving forward rather than having an actual motion through here. I think it alleviates the legalities of it all, and we already have it in place. We already have that process set up. Commissioner Meisner.
Oh, yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, and so that is what we did last time. I'm just thinking if we actually have, so we have our regular abatement process, just as you described, and then for May, we had a special COVID-19. And I'm just trying to remember if that was an actual separate process that we agreed to fast track kind of the regular abatement process. So then I guess my question would be, so what we're talking about right now for October, are you suggesting that we also have an additional specialty COVID-19, or you're saying just go through the regular abatement process and put in your commentary or your reason, COVID-19 related reasons?
That is my suggestion.
Okay.
In talking with Pam LeBlanc and Rhonda, we've determined that the best process would be if they just did the abatement process request and put in the verbiage that it's COVID-related and why, then that committee would have the approval to approve that abatement. The one thing we do have to decide here today, we should probably decide today, is the deadline by which they have to make their payment. Because if they're going to make the payment in January, we probably don't want to abate their penalties, because then we want a reasonable time frame here where we need their money, because we have to pay other jurisdictions. So my suggestion is probably November 30th. If they pay by November 30th, it was October 15th due, so that's 45 days of leeway. If that seems reasonable to folks, we can entertain that idea now. If somebody feels different, let me know now. Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what would the consequence be if we did it exactly like May, meaning 2 months, 60 days? Would that?
We could, it's an arbitrary date we're picking right now. So if you think 60 days is more appropriate, then we would go till December 15th. Except end of the year.
Well, that's what I mean.
We have some end of the year issues, and perhaps Corey could best speak to that.
So I will say personally, I would like to see a longer grace period of 60 days. However, I do know that with the end of the year, I wasn't sure again what the consequences of that would be.
I know there are consequences, so I will turn to either Administrator Silveraja or Corey Camp from Finance.
Mr. Chairman, members of the County Board, I'm getting notes here from Division Manager Pam LeBlanc, and she indicated that it needs to actually be in by December 30th for settlement purposes. So December 15th would be okay. December 30th would be problematic.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, that is exactly what I was going to say. Because there's a January settlement, which means we have to have it accounted for by the 30th.
And 60 days would be December 15th. Commissioner Lowe.
So, Mr. Chair, you're looking for a motion then?
I think now that we've settled on a date and a time frame, yes, I need a motion to set a deadline.
So I would move that our deadline be moved to December 15th, and that our criteria include COVID reasons for the second half of a tax payment.
There's a motion before us. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Reinert. Further comments? Commissioner Meisner.
Thank you, Mr. And then just to clarify, because we've been talking, kind of focusing on business needs, but this would also include residential, correct? For residents. Yes. Okay. I just wanted to clarify that for the public. Thank you.
Yep. That's a good clarification, because we have been talking mostly business. And I will say anecdotally, I wasn't contacted by anybody. Everybody seemed like they were doing just fine. I know Commissioner Look got the one call, and maybe others of you have. I expected a lot more. I expected October 15th to be the rough one, but it's not turned out that way. Our collections have been good, and most people have paid their taxes as expected. But we'll see what happens in May of 21. We keep our fingers crossed that all our residents and our commercial businesses are doing fine and staying healthy, but we also know that it affects some, and anything we can do to help that, we will. Administrator Silveraja.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, just for the public's sake, just a clarification is that it doesn't mean that you wait till December 15th and it's an automatic. You actually need to fill out a form and apply for the abatement. And that was the same process that we utilized the last time. So just want to make sure that folks recognize that they would need to apply for that.
And as a clarification, now that we're at that point, when you pay for your taxes, if you're paying late, you will pay the penalty when you pay that. And the abatement you apply for will be to get that penalty back. So it's not like you're not going to pay the penalty. When you pay late, you will pay your property tax and your late payment, and then apply to have that rebated to you. Commissioner Reinert.
I don't know, as far as a communication point too, when people do pay late and then pay that penalty, I'm sure that staff will be informing those people that they can apply for abatement, but I don't know if there's anything we can do to, make sure that they do, or just, I guess.
I'm confident they do. In conversations with Pamela Blanc, it's something they do. When somebody's paying late and is concerned about their late fee, they always offer the abatement application.
All right.
Further comments? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That passes unanimous. Thank you for bringing that forward, Commissioner Look. Anything else to come before the county board? Seeing none, we are adjourned. Your HRA will convene